Hello and welcome to Three Chicks in a Pod. And this is where we basically celebrate the messiness of life. And today I have the utmost privilege to speak to Adele Koolen. She is a lifestyle blogger, a content creator, a social media strategist, a wine connoisseur, an occasional gym bunny, and an overall exhausted mom. She's a lover of all things beauty and fashion and a complete online shopaholic, the add to cart but not checkout person. Adele's interests and topics range from beauty, skincare and fashion reviews, parenting a very beautiful 5.5-year-old, and navigating life in general. Her honest and authentic take on life will have you in stitches and more often than not, let you realize life is not half as bad as you think it is. Welcome, Adele.
Thank you, Jess, and thanks for the lovely introduction. I do think I'm the person that laughs at myself most of the time, because if I don't, who will? Or I'd rather laugh at myself first before others do.
Absolutely, no, definitely. Well, Adele, like I said, it's an amazing privilege to be speaking to you today. And it's been a long time. Adele and myself know each other from the Mrs. South Africa competition, where she actually won the Miss Charity title. In my opinion, in my mind, that just speaks volumes, because that just basically shows you what an amazing heart she has. And obviously that was, it was such a great opportunity, such a wonderful journey. And I'm so blessed to have, met you and kept that beautiful relationship.
It has been, I can't believe it's 4 years. Can you believe it's been that long? And it was such an amazing opportunity, as you say, and it was such a great journey, learning about everyone, getting to share my story and my why. And the Mrs. Charity was definitely a cherry on the cake for me. And I very quickly realized that the crown was not where I was going to be. Walking in heels is just not my thing. Even though you tried to teach me.
I remember I did try, but there was just like a moment of absolute craziness. We just didn't have time. I bet you I would have figured it out and got you to the point where you were walking.
I feel like my brain and my feet in heels just don't like that transmitter is cut somewhere.
Helemaal gekom fooi. Hy werk nie.
Hy's nie geconnect nie.
No.
It's almost like load shedding.
Yeah, it's like it kind of works, but it doesn't work, but it kind of works, but it doesn't work. But yeah. So listen, Adele, the reason why we kind of decided to have this chat, and I'm so glad you reached out, because I was scrolling through Facebook the other day, and for some absurd reason, I noticed that a lot of ads, as they usually do, pop up. A lot of ads come on about infertility. And I was kind of taken aback by this, because why me? Because obviously they kind of like, they target a general, and so it was kind of odd to me. So my interest got a little bit intrigued, and I started looking at the stats over the past 50 years. And it is absolutely shocking to have realized that in aspect ratio to women, couples, married couples not having as many children as they did about 50 years ago, they've declined. The fertility rate has basically declined. It's getting harder and harder for people, couples, married couples, to have children. And I thought by myself, it's almost like God sent that you came while you did or when you did, because you have such hands-on experience about this, and I'd love to learn more about it. I feel like it's not a topic that people tend to talk a lot about because it's such a hurtful topic. It goes straight deep down into the core. So tell me about your journey with that.
So, Jess, when you say people don't talk about it, I now talk about it very candidly. If it was a few years ago, I was extremely embarrassed about it. And I say embarrassed. And if you ask any person going through fertility, if they are completely honest, they do feel a sense of embarrassment, because motherhood, or becoming a mom or having a baby, is supposed to be just the natural next progression.
Yes.
And this is where the issue comes. We are brought up with this thing of, especially as a girl, you're going to go to primary school, go to high school, go to university, maybe you're going to meet the love of your life, you're going to get married, you're going to have 2 children, your children are going to have children, you're going to grow old. This is the narrative. Then suddenly you have someone who comes into the picture and they go, well, I don't want to be married. And society goes, or you have someone, how dare you? Or you have someone who says, well, I want to be married, but I want to be in a same-sex marriage. Oh my God, how can you? Now you have that person who decides that they want to have a baby. Now it's more taboo. Or you have someone who goes the natural progression and they decide not to have children and they get judged again. Or you have someone who has 5 kids and they get judged. You get someone who can't have kids. It's like, you are damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You get judged regardless. You stay at home with your kids, you're judged. You go to work, you are judged. You breastfeed, you bottle feed, you C-section, you surrogate, you natural birth. It doesn't matter what you do. Someone is going to have an egg to lay. And back in the day, I was very worried about what people would think. And I also didn't talk about it because I didn't want that pity party, because that is very much what you get. Everyone's like, oh, shame, because they don't know how to cope with it. It's like when someone dies, no one really knows what to say, except I'm here for you. And if you want to talk, because that's all we want. So to rewind a little bit, we got married in 2009. And in 2011, we decided, you know what, in 2010, we decided I would go off of contraceptive and let's start planning. My initial plan, your lifeline, as you put it out, I was like, I would start, I wanted to have my first baby at 32 and my second baby at 35, and then we would be done. But the perfect solution would be if we had twins at 32. That was my life plan, how I had written it out. And God,
didn't we all at some point in life have that plan of let's have twins?
I know, right? And I mean, like my mom was saying the other day, we all make plans and God laughs, because it's honestly that. He's sitting up there going, yeah, no, that's not what I have planned for you, my dear.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's like, nip it in the butt. So anyway, so we started trying, and I remember it so vastly. Vividly is the word, sorry. I went off the pill at the end of May, and I had my first period after going off the pill in June, and then the next period didn't come. And it didn't come, and it didn't come. For 65 days, it didn't come.
Well, that's
and
every time, 2 months, yeah.
Yeah, every time I peed on a stick, it was negative.
Okay.
And I had blood tests, and it was negative. And eventually I went to the gynae, and as Murphy would have it, my period started on the morning that I had to go to the gynae.
No.
So I was like, okay, so here I go off to the gynae, and she shoves old Frank up there, little ultrasound, and
How
she's
awkward.
looking around, and she goes, okay, so you have a lazy ovary on the left,
Okay.
and the right one's not working. So suddenly I feel like Miranda on Sex and the City with falling pregnant with the guy who has one testicle,
Yes,
like,
exactly. Like, what does this even mean?
Exactly.
What
So
does
then
it
she
mean?
said, oh, you've got PCOS. I'm like, PCOS? Polycystic ovary syndrome. So I'm like, okay, I come from a medical field, but I don't know this stuff. So
Yes.
can you speak to me in stupid terms?
Layman's, please.
Not treat me like I know nothing that you've just said. So then she's like, no, so you have your ovary, and your ovary creates a lot of eggs, but they don't actually get big enough so when you ovulate, the egg is not mature enough to actually be, what do you call it? Fertilized.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. So what does this mean? No, she says, continue trying as you are. So now we're in August of 2010.
Yes.
If by January you haven't fallen pregnant, then you and your husband come in and he must do a sperm sample into a little cup. Okay. Now try and navigate that one with.
Yes, exactly.
And then it must get tested, and then we take it from there. Now we keep on trying and nothing happens, and January comes and she doesn't tell me that only certain lancets do this sperm washing and checking and analysis.
Okay. So, is it of the sperm basically? So they want to check if you harness.
So because they've now obviously they've now checked me and they know what's wrong with me. So now we need to see if there's a problem from his side. So
why
anyway,
it takes so long? That is ridiculous.
Well, this is the thing, she was like, sometimes your body just needs to regulate. And I had been on the pill for years, and you know what, like no one actually has the answer, but they try and give you one.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, cool. So I come home with a little koppiekie for hubby, and I'm like, hierso, like, go to the bathroom, do whatever you need to, and and put it in the paper bag. So he gives it to me. Now you have to keep it at body temperature. Okay. So yes, me with this paper bag of sperm in my driving with it between my legs.
Oh no!
And all I can think is, please God, don't let me have an accident now. Because can you imagine a woman dies with sperm sample?
Headlines, newspaper, everything.
I was very mortified at the time. I can laugh about it now, but I was exceptionally mortified, as was he. And I think a lot of times we don't take the man into consideration in this whole process as well.
Yes, because it's quite embarrassing for them as well.
Yeah. So anyway, and also, you know how men are. They believe that they, like, I don't know, it's like got like a liter coming. I mean, it's 5 mils. And it's
liters and liters.
Oh. Dude, calm down. So anyway, long story short, we go back to the gynae, and she sits there and she says, no, your sperm is terrible, she says to him pretty much. And the chances of you guys having kids naturally is like 0%. She wasn't incorrect with that, but she was incorrect on his sperm. Okay. So we booked a meeting with Dr. Volskink at Vitalab in Sandton, and off we went. And I can honestly tell you, it was the most traumatic first experience of my whole entire life. You have to fill in this massive thing. And it's funny how in hindsight I look now, and I wrote on my application form where you give all the history, I wrote there, I know IVF is the only way, it's the way forward for us. And when I sat in his rooms, he said to me, why do you say that? So I was like, well, isn't it? And he was like, no, there's a lot of other things that you can do beforehand. And it's funny how I just knew, Anyway, so I had this first consultation. And obviously, I mean, you've had kids, so you would know this internal examination. I mean, I have never in my life had an internal like that. I thought I was going to die. I was like, dude, did you leave your watch up there? Like, what the hell is happening here?
What is ticking?
I'm an extremely private person when it comes to things like that. And I mean, I break out in hives when I have to go to the gynae.
Wow.
It is the most traumatizing thing for me. So anyway, he then does an ultrasound and he says, oh, there's an egg in the right ovary. You know, the one that wasn't working.
The one that wasn't working, yes. The other one's lazy, but the other one's not working.
Yeah. So now suddenly this thing's now working and there's an egg. And he says to us, so we're going to use this egg. Let's use it. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's use it.
Yeah, let's.
And and we did what they call time conception. So now this is fun, okay? So
sounds so complicated.
This is all the nitty gritty of this. You are going to die. So they tell you, so he uses the word coitus. And I'm like, please, can we not?
Wow. Hello, Big Bang Theory.
On Big Bang Theory. I'm like, just say, get it on or do the funky monkey or whatever. Coitus. I can't. So he's like, okay, so on Sunday, you're going to inject yourself with this trigger injection that's going to cause ovulation. And then you are going to have coitus between 8 and 10 on Sunday evening.
Wow.
You are then going to come to the clinic on Monday morning at 7 a.m. You cannot bath or shower after your coitus the night before. And we are going to do... so what they do is they do like a pap smear scenario and they take a swab of whatever's left in there. Like, I don't even want to.
Yes, let's not go there.
Let's not go there. And then they put it under the microscope and then they check what's happening with the sperm. So they then see if you have a hostile cervix. I mean,
I've heard about this.
Now I might have a hostile cervix.
I've heard about this. Yeah, it's like you're literally created to have children, and you're like, it's danger zone.
Exactly.
Like, what does that mean? But
so anyway, we do this. We go the next morning, and now Johan is there, and I'm like, sit over there on the corner. You're not like. I mean, I don't need him to see like that.
Everything.
Just,
no.
Can we keep some romance in this situation?
Yes, can we please?
Yeah, can we? So anyway, so the doctor does his little thing and he puts and bless old Johan's heart, shame, so sweet. So they put the sperm on the little thing under the microscope and it's up on this big screen and you see all the sperm moving.
Wow, and, that's actually quite interesting.
And it's blue. Okay, what's blue is so this is the thing. So the solution they put it in is blue. So it comes up blue on the screen. And Johan goes, oh, it's blue. Are those boys? And I'm like, no. I laughed. So, I mean, shame, this was all very new to him as well. Anyway, so then they're swimming fast and we're like, I'm not sure they're moving. So the doctor's like, yeah, and these are the ones that were left behind.
Okay, so imagine the one that made it, right?
Yeah.
Or two or three or four maybe, you never know, right?
So we walk out and hubby's like, oh, Superman, super swimmers, no. So now off we go and we have to repeat the same thing minus the injection on the Monday night and the Tuesday night because you have a 72-hour window to fall pregnant effectively. Okay. Anyway, so we do that and 2 weeks later, I had completely forgotten about it. I must be honest. I wasn't putting my heart on anything as such. And I started feeling extremely nauseous. I was feeling tired. I was feeling nar. And
how long after this 72 window was that?
So that was it was 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks.
Okay, so that's sort of the time where you would expect to now be pregnant, right?
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm at the pharmacy and my cousin says to me, maybe you're pregnant. So I'm like, no, man. So anyway, so I buy a stick and I come home and Johan was away for work. And I I pee on the stick and I leave it in the bathroom. And eventually I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about it. And I go back and Jess, I mean, I was shaking.
Oh.
Like seeing those 2 lines was probably, well, you know.
I mean, know.
You know.
Mine wasn't exactly like that. Maybe the second one, but not the first one. First one was more of a shock.
But I was shaking. I was trembling. And then we were still on BlackBerry. So I take a photo and I send it to Johan on Messenger and he doesn't reply. So I phone him. So I say, did you get my BBM?
BBM.
So he says, no. So I say, go check it and phone me back. So he phones back and he goes, are you fucking kidding me? So I'm like, no. He's like, no, wait. And of course, here we go. And this thing says we are 4 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
6 weeks pregnant. I can't even remember. Not to sort 6 weeks. You know, it's a digital one.
Yes.
Anyway,
it's one of those fancy ones you pee on.
Yeah, I went the fancy route. And I mean, I paid 4,500 Rand to get this baby to start, you know.
Yes, exactly. So that's quite expensive. So
yeah. So anyway, we of course are so excited. We tell the whole world.
Oh my goodness.
And well, I went to the doctor on the Monday. I had the blood test and everything confirmed. And he said to me, okay, the HCG now that has to double and this and that and da.
Okay.
And on Tuesday night, the Wednesday morning, I wake up and it's about 2:00 in the morning and I am boiling hot and I'm wet and I get up and I'm like, okay. So, I mean, it's hard to explain. It's this, like I felt like I was outside of my body. I had no control. And my first question was, why? Why did you let me fall pregnant only to let me have a miscarriage? Why me? And what did I do wrong? That was the question, you know. And I mean, I sobbed. I have never cried so much in my whole entire life. I sobbed my heart out. Johan, I got back into bed and I said to him, it's gone. I mean, and you know, it's so funny how from seeing the 2 lines to that, I had already planned out the nursery. We've thought of girls' names, boys' names. You know, you plan this little human's whole future.
Yes.
Before they are literally the size of a match head. And you've planned this whole future, and just like that, it gets taken away. And I'm a very much a type A personality. So I am that person that you do not tell me no. You do not tell me what I can and can't do. I will show you I can do it. And I went to the doctor and they're very clinical. You know, at that stage, I was like, all I actually wanted was someone to give me a hug and go, it's okay.
Yeah.
It will be okay. I didn't need 1 in 4 women miscarried. 1 in 8 women have fertility treatment. 1 in 12 women will never carry their own baby. I don't need to be a statistic at that moment in time.
No, of course not. You're only human. I mean.
Yeah, at that moment in time, I needed you to hand me a tissue and go, this is so cuck. But yes. You know what?
We're going to get through this.
And we're going to get through this and we're going to be there with you every step of the way. And I remember so vividly, he said to me, you have to remember to fall pregnant. There's 200 things that have to go right and just 1 to go wrong. Again, in that moment, it wasn't what I wanted to hear. And your body, it's your body's natural response when there's something wrong to abort the baby. In hindsight, yes, that's fantastic. And I feel like that conversation with those things should be had with the person with anyone who wants to fall pregnant, whether you're doing fertility or not, have that conversation as the gynae with your patient before they start.
Yes.
Have that conversation. Ready you for the beautiful outcome of having a baby, but also ready you for the stuff that can go wrong. And if anything, make the person very, very aware that it's nothing that they did wrong.
Yes, of course.
Because, I mean, we went from there. It was March in 2011. I found out I was pregnant on the 4th of April. I miscarried on the 6th of April. After that, it was like a race for me. We went every month. We did 12 timed conceptions like this. And eventually we took a break in the May of 2012. We went overseas for a bit. Then everyone's like, oh, when you stop thinking about it, you can't stop thinking about it when someone's poking you all the time. You can't stop thinking about it. I'm very sorry. I mean, it was a case of you go to the clinic in the morning, you make sure that you stand at in the front of the lift so that when you get out, you can be in the front for the ultrasound. You're going for an ultrasound every day for, while you've got your period. From day 2 of your period, you're going for an ultrasound for 3-4 days. Then you're going back after you've triggered, after they've done everything. And then you sit and you wait patiently. And I had 5 more miscarriages.
No, my God.
I didn't even tell you, Han, because for what?
Yeah.
I was just like, I'll deal with this heartache myself. I really don't need, and by then it was also the pity and, oh, I'm so sorry. And when the time's right, it will happen. Like I was sick of it. I didn't need to hear it. And we then changed doctors at the clinic. And he then said to me, why don't we do IVF? So I said, well, okay, it's fine. Let's do that. And we then went, and I mean, that's a hell of a lot of more money. I mean, it was 85K for the first IVF session.
Sure. That is an insane amount of money.
And you don't walk out that clinic without paying. Let me tell you that. You don't walk out. And if you can't swipe for that amount, they let you sit at their desk and do an EFT. No, you pay.
That is crazy.
And it was hormones and stuff. And I mean, injections and this tablet and that tablet. That for me was like, I didn't even feel in control of my body. I didn't know who I was. I really hated my body. And I went and he said to me, oh, fantastic. There's 18 eggs. That was on the Saturday. So fabulous. Monday morning, I get there and there's 1.
How in the world does that even
exactly
work?
So I was like, was my ovary hungry? Like what now?
It's amazing how you can be so lighthearted about this.
No, but I mean, so now this doctor, so also what happens is there's different doctors. So your actual doctor isn't looking after you the whole time. So you have someone else scanning you, whatever. So he pushes it up there, has a look. Oh, sorry, there's 1 egg. We're aborting the thing. And I walk out. So I'm going, we've just paid 85,000 Rand and you telling me we're not going ahead. Yes. Like what? That actual. So I phone Johan and I'm in tears and whatever. And Johan's like, screw this. And we show up at the doctor's rooms. And Johan's like ready to Barney this guy. And anyway, so then the doctor's like, no, listen, we can still use this one with artificial insemination. So that's now the turkey baster.
Okay.
So I call it a turkey baster because that's physically what it looks like. It's like they put a catheter in there and then they inject the sperm directly into the uterus. But now also it's not, before someone at home thinks that they can just do this at home. No, you can't.
No.
Because do you
Disclaimer,
actually know?
Do not try this at home.
Do not try this at home. And this is when you see like people have stolen sperm on movies and it's bullshit, guys. because that sperm is actually toxic to you.
Sure.
If you had to go and inject it directly like that. So they have to spin it and do everything, and then they take it, they then inject it. So because obviously, like when you have coitus,
yes,
your body has all the you've got cervical.
It's like the natural process, basically.
Yes, and you've got the mucus that will take anything that's bad for you away, and that sort of thing. So anyway, so off we go and do this artificial insemination. At the same time, I say to the doctor, we have done the HSG, which is a thing where they inject iodine into you and they check the housing, as they say. They check your tubes, they check the uterus, they see if everything is working, okay? They also can see for endometriosis that way. So all of that we've done. We've tested the sperm. So I say to him, listen, like, can you test the eggs? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he says, but you don't have a history of any like chromosomal issues in your family, and it's expensive. It's 10,000 rand. I'm like, really? 10,000 rand? We 100K in.
Yeah.
Do you think 10,000 rand is really really? It's like 5 rand. Let's do it. Let's do it. And so we do this this blood test, and I'll never forget, he phoned me on the Monday, and I was actually walking on the treadmill because my period had started. And he phoned me and he said to me, in all his years of working, he's never seen this. And it's 1 in 500, another statistic.
Wonderful. Statistic. Just add my name to the dotted line.
Yeah. 1 in 500,000 people have this chromosomal problem. And it's called reciprocal reallocation. So what happens is the short leg, so your chromosomes have a short leg at the top and a long leg at the bottom, and you've got 2 pairs. So now when you fall pregnant, you have half of the male and half of the female, okay? And that's also where the sex comes from. So the sex comes from the men's chromosome. So they either have an X or a Y, and that's how you get a boy or a girl, because the female only has X. Anyway, so mine, the short leg on the one chromosome breaks off and attaches onto another chromosome. So I have all my chromosomes, but then depending on how it divides, it will lead to spontaneous miscarriage because there's a problem in the chromosomes. So this is now where the crux came. So I had a chance, a possibility of falling pregnant and carrying full term. But then the child would be born with a disability and only probably live until the age of 2.
Wow, that is horrible information to receive.
Exactly. So now we have this decision to make. And now I hear this and I'm going, it is my fault. It's my fault.
Adele.
Because it's my eggs. I have the problem. So now what now? So we chat to the doctor and he says to me, look, there's other options. He's like, Adele, you have to remember, you don't have to be genetically linked to a child to be its mother. You can use a donor egg, or you can use a surrogate with a donor. Okay. So anyway, I go home and I'm like, now convincing my husband, because he wasn't completely convinced about the donor thing. And it's, if I listen to myself saying this and I'm going, I'm the one that was pushing this narrative actually very hard. Okay. And he just he came along, and there was a point in time where he said, when I said, okay, I want to stop, he said, no, we're not stopping. We're going to keep on trying. And I was so angry at him. But now when I look back, I was the one pushing it the whole time. So then he suddenly was like, okay, well, you know what? Why stop now?
Yes.
Anyway, so we then decided on donor. And again, you pick them from a catalog. You can't, so I don't know what you look like as an adult. You'll put your baby photos on, you do your whole medical, all of that. And then I can choose someone who looks very similar to me from a baby perspective and that sort of thing. And so we did that. We chose the donor and we did 2 implantations, IVFs with the donor, which didn't work. I was like, okay.
This was just, as you're going on, I'm thinking to myself, this just wasn't meant to be.
No, exactly right. And you would think that somewhere, I mean, I'm an educated person, somewhere the light bulb would go on, right? But no, Mrs. Freaking, I will show you.
This is what I'm gonna do.
You know, so then I changed clinics because I felt like I needed a second opinion and a different perspective and all of that. And I went to Dr. Linda Key at Gynamed. And the reason I'm naming these doctors is because they are all phenomenal in this field. And, you know, firstly, you need to also find a doctor that you gel with and that you connect with, because it's an extremely personal and invasive thing.
I mean, he literally spends 90% of his time where your husband is supposed to be.
Yeah, up your vajay.
The JJ.
So, you know, so the thing is, also, it's not by any fault of the doctor that we didn't fall pregnant. They are given the tools and that sort of thing to help you. But at the end of the day, there's only one person that's going to decide this outcome. And whether or not you're a religious person or not, whoever you pray to, and this is what Dr. Lindicke said to me. He said to me, Mrs. Koolen, I don't know who or what you believe in, but whoever you pray to, you need to pray and you need to believe that you deserve to be a mother. And you know,
so beautiful.
It was such an interesting thing when he said that to me, because I mean, here I was 15 rounds down.
Yes, basically almost 3 years in.
With five miscarriages. So many whys, so many how come, so many what did I do wrong, what could I do better? Seeing the disappointment on my husband's face every time. I mean, I didn't recognize the person I looked into the mirror. I didn't recognize the person looking back. If I tell you, I was the most horrible, horrendous person out there. I was a full-on bitch, full on. I mean, I'm still quite a bit, but
I tend to disagree, but okay.
But I really, Jess, I wasn't a nice person.
Yeah.
I had become extremely bitter. I must be honest.
I mean, a process like that would. I mean, it's
and what
traumatizing,
made me more,
like you said.
Yeah, and what made me more bitter and more upset was that my friends and people around me were scared to tell me when they were pregnant. And I was like, what type of human do you think I am? Do you think I'm going to like take a knife and cut open your stomach and take out your unborn baby? Like, you know, if anything, I was so excited for anyone who fell pregnant because I knew just how hard and how difficult it can be. And when someone fell pregnant naturally, yes, I was a bit jealous and envious, but I was also so happy for them because I had gotten to a point where I was like, it wasn't really why me anymore. It was more a case of, if not me, who then?
Yes.
Would I wish this on my sister, on my cousins, on family, on my best friend?
Nobody.
And the answer is no.
Yeah.
You know, I would rather carry this burden myself. So we went to Dr. Lindicke and we did, so how it works when they get the donor eggs and they do the full retrieval like they would do, showing this poor woman gets paid 6,500 Rand and they go through it. And generally they are very young, which is lovely because you want a young egg. You know, when the doctor tells you your most fertile time is between 22 and 26 and you're sitting there as like 35 and you're going, okay, my eggs are powder. So, you know, I opted for some very young eggs because I was like, woohoo!
Yes, let's do this.
Exactly. So we then, they obviously harvest the eggs and then they put them onto sticks. Okay, so I think we had 2, 4, 7. Yeah, so we had 10, no, 3, 6, we had 9 eggs. Okay. So they put them on a stick of 3 on a stick, or you can freeze them separately. But obviously, the more you freeze, the more it costs and all this sort of stuff. So the first time we went, we implanted 2. The second time we went, we implanted 3 because we were like, you know what?
Did you implant this in the same woman?
No. We implanted into me.
Oh, you implanted. Okay, my bad. I was
so we had. So at this stage, I had IVF on myself with a donor egg.
Oh,
and that's quite a thing to wrap your mind around.
Yes, I was just about to say. I think that's quite.
I was like, I couldn't help having this thought process in the back of my head of, when someone says, oh, she looks just like you, and you're sort of going, oh, no, she doesn't actually, because it's not my genetic, or when someone says, oh, well, she didn't inherit that from her father, it must be from you. No, not from me either. And the thing is, like,
blame
people won't say this. People won't say this, but the thing is, at the end of the day, these are the thoughts going in your head, and it's okay.
Yes,
it's okay to
normal.
Think those things. I pretty much think it would be abnormal if you were completely okay and all right with this stuff.
Yes.
So we implanted the 3, and thank you, Jesus, that they didn't take, because I don't know if I would have been able to manage triplets. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
And then we did the last one. And when we did the last one, when it didn't take, Dr. Lindeke said to me, he was like, he's like, I want to be completely open and honest with you. He's like, we can continue doing this. We can get a different donor and all of that. He's like, but I don't think that you will ever carry your own baby.
Yes.
Or carry a baby. He said to me, Mrs. Koolen, I think it is time for you to move on and let go of this. And
that must have been such a bitter pill to digest.
Again, but although I must be honest, by the time we were implanting those last ones, I had said to Johan, I'm done. After this one, if this doesn't work, that was 18 processes on myself.
Yeah.
And I said to him, babe, I love you. I didn't marry you to have children. That would be the cherry on the cake. If that is what you so badly want and I can't give it to you, it would break my heart. I love my husband dearly. At that stage, we were married for 8 years already.
Yes, that's a long time.
And it was a long journey. And I said to him, if you know what, then I let you go. I'll be fine. I will cry on the inside like a winner, and we go on, And when it didn't take, I'll be honest. Our marriage was on the brink of divorce many times.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I always say there was always one of us wanting to die.
Yeah.
It wasn't. There was never a stage where it was both of us.
Yeah.
And that's what saved us. Then we took some time off. And my nephew was born in 2015.
Oh, I remember this. I remember this.
Oh, the most gorgeous little human. And I remember when I held him for the first time on the day of his birth, I have never felt love like that. It felt like my heart, I was like happy and sad and everything all at once. And I looked at this little human and I thought, you know what? I am going to be the best auntie for you that anyone will ever be. And I will have your back no matter what.
Oh,
And
yes.
let anyone try and do something. And I mean, he was our everything.
I remember, I
And,
honestly do remember. I mean, wasn't it in 2014 though? Because I just remember seeing like
he was born in
dozens.
2015.
Was he in 2015? Well, then, then it must have been after, but I remember seeing dozens of photos of him and you telling us, yes, he did this. And then you tell us a story and then it was a video. So I remember how proud auntie you were. And I remember also how heartbroken you were when the thing happened that happened.
Yeah, we'll get to that now.
Yes.
So, yeah, so we then decided, I'll say we were pretty content. You know, we were like, well, this is our life. We'll travel, we'll spoil my nephew, we'll do whatever. But in the same breath, Johan and I were living in a house together, but living separate lives. I was doing my cycling and going on trips with my mom and my sister, and he was going to the farm, and we were really just we were roommates, to be honest. We chatted every now and again. I didn't want to fight about stuff. He didn't want to fight about stuff. So instead of actually talking about it, we just ignored the big white elephant in the room and, carried on. And then a friend of mine that was at varsity from me who lives in New Zealand, she came out and she said to me, I'll be your surrogate. And I was like, what? And while she was here, we went and saw a surrogacy attorney, because surrogacy is not just a case of you say to me, Adele, I'll carry your baby, and we implant and we go on. It is a massive thing. So we got there, and Robin Friedman, who's a surrogacy attorney, she runs all the stuff. There's another lady, Adele van der Walt in Pretoria, and they actually do the ins and outs. And we went to Robin, and Robin said to us, look, well, firstly, obviously, you would have to do the implantation over here. Then she goes back to New Zealand. If she has the baby in New Zealand, I have to legally adopt that baby, because the baby gets registered in the birth mother's name over there. I have to legally adopt, and South Africa doesn't have the treaty between New Zealand and South Africa to adopt. So then she would have to come out here and have the baby here, which means she would have to be here from her second trimester, because she wouldn't be able to travel. She's got 2 kids of her own as well.
Oh, wow.
And then we would have to use donor with her in any way. And, as great and as beautiful as the gesture was, it wasn't practical.
Yes.
So we then...
Kudos to her, though. I mean, that is...
No, I know. Wow. I mean, to want to give me that is like the greatest gift, right? So we then left it at that, and we decided to start the process and start looking. So what they do then is you and hubby have to go for a 3-hour psychological assessment. I mean, they ask you everything except the blood sample. And the psychologist then puts a report together, and you do questionnaires and a marital questionnaire and everything. And they do this whole report to say whether or not, number one, are you able to be a parent? And number two, will you be okay with a surrogate? Yes. The surrogate then, the potential surrogate, then also, you have to do police clearances as well to know that you're not a criminal.
Obviously.
The potential surrogate then does the same questionnaire.
Yes, I was just about to say, I can only imagine that she needs to go through a psychological test as well. So
she goes through all the psychological stuff, because now again, and this is where the conception is. So in America, the surrogate gets paid a X amount of money, and it's quite a large sum.
Yes.
They get paid, and then they get paid again after delivery. In South Africa, once there is a positive pregnancy test, the surrogate gets paid 6,500 Rand per month, okay? That is for her inconvenience, I would say.
Okay.
You then, as the commissioning parent, pay her medical aid, you pay life insurance for her, because if something has to happen during the time that
she's
life
pregnant,
insurance would have to pay out to her family. You pay all the doctor's visits, all the like implantation, all of that stuff. You pay everything.
it's quite a lot of money. It almost sounds more expensive than the IVF.
And there's a contract, there's a high court application. And only once the high court has said yes, can you go ahead. So the clinic is not allowed to implant until there's a high court application or a high court order. The high court order is, at that stage, was 30,000 Rand. The high court order states that, and this is where I don't know if the law has changed yet, but it hadn't at that time. Within the first 12 weeks of pregnancy, the surrogate has all say over the unborn child. In other words, the surrogate can decide to terminate the pregnancy at any time without the consent of the commissioning parents.
Okay.
If it comes out in the first 12 weeks that the baby that there's a disability or something like that, and I, as the commissioning parent, want to abort the baby, she can decide not to.
Okay.
Because she has the say. In other words, she can carry a Down's baby or a baby with a disability. And if that was not what you wanted, if she says, I'm not aborting, you have to continue with it. And I know a lot of people are going to watch this and say, geez, so you would abort. You know what? From a physio perspective, when I did it years ago, I worked with a lot of children with disabilities. And I take my hat off to those parents who can do it.
Yes.
But I am not that parent.
Yes.
And I am very open and honest about it. And Johan and I were on very much the same page with that.
Okay.
And that is why I had gone the route of doing donor, because I was not going to risk having a baby, loving this child, and standing it off to death after 2 years.
Yes.
I mean, what's the...
Exactly. Okay.
You know, fix something, then fix it, right? So we then we interviewed this first lady, and
this should be interesting.
yeah, so here's the judgmental bitch in me that comes out now, and everyone watching this podcast, you can think what you want about me.
No, man, don't worry about it. This is why we're having this conversation. It's an open conversation.
No, exactly. So Jess, I went far, like Western area, far. Okay. And I went with the surrogate. So we had this woman who later appeared on carte blanche for doing things underhandedly, which, oh my God, that like was also not great.
You are kidding.
And bless her heart, you know what? I'm not going to judge her for the things she did because I wasn't in her shoes. Okay. And she was great to us. So anyway, she was like the coordinator. So she would find you people and then introduce you and sit through the meeting. So we meet at the Spur, you know, and this woman walks in through the door and she says to me, that's the girl. And I looked at her, and at first glance, I thought, I wouldn't even let you carry my handbag, let alone my baby. But Adele, be open-minded, sit down, and let's hear her out. Now, Johan's at the farm that weekend, okay?
Okay, so this meeting is alone. You're having a meeting alone. Okay.
So the surrogate lady is with us and whatever, and then she says, you know what, I'm going to leave, and I'm going to leave you guys to get to know and whatever. So now I chat to this girl. And in the meantime, we are now waiting for her results from the psychologist, okay?
Okay.
So I said to her, okay, so you are, how old are you? No, she's 25. So I'm like, okay, and you've got how many kids? Because that's the other thing. To be a surrogate, you have to have had at least one living pregnancy.
Okay.
So you have to have a living child. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, cool. So she says, no, she she's got 2 kids. Her eldest was 5 and the other one was 2. So I'm like, sure, 25. Like, now the judgment in me is coming out, okay?
And I'm like, that's
okay,
where I'm getting it. Like, yeah.
So I'm like, you know what, it's fine. Some people want to have them early. I mean, here's me sitting old lady and I don't have, but so fertile. So anyway, so I say to her, so she says, yes, her second born was born early. It was so I said, oh, was it natural or C-section? No, her first baby was a natural. The second one was an emergency C-section because she fell down the stairs.
Okay.
So now the father of these 2 kids, she's not married to him. Okay. And during this little conversation, he has now phoned her and messaged her about 15 times. So in my head, I'm going, did you fall or were you pushed? Like I'm just getting the sense like something is not right there. But now I'm trying to be like open-minded as well.
Receiving. You're trying to be receiving. Okay. I get it.
So I sort of like, I'm asking the questions and whatever. So then she says, where's your husband? So I say, no, he's at the farm. So she says, oh, you have a farm? So I'm like, yeah. So she goes, oh, so you must be rich.
Well,
and that red flag
just went, it's like this. It's basically
like it's taking over. So I'm sitting going, no, we live comfortably. I mean, like whatever. Define rich, I suppose,
yes. What does that mean?
Yeah, what because I feel like I live comfortably. I don't see myself as rich. I see myself rich in other ways, not monetary. Like I'm really open to having those people who say that rich people aren't happy. Send me the money, let me see how unhappy I can be. But I regress. So anyway, she then takes my number and she's like, yo, maybe we can meet so that the husbands can meet. So I'm like, okay, cool. And she's over my WhatsApp like a rash.
Oh,
and
no,
she sees
okay.
the whole time. In the meantime, I have now gone and done something which you're not supposed to do because I asked her for her surname when I was chatting to her. So, the private investigator that I am, or Facebook stalker, which
I think any woman in her natural state is one anyway. So, yes.
Right? So off I go and I go and check her out on Facebook. And I click on him and I'm like, he looks like something that has escaped out of Polsmoor. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm one of those people that if I had to be walking in the street and I saw you coming, I would probably cross the road, not to walk past you. Like very scary looking, like proper, like no. And
let's call it women's intuition, Adele, because at the end of the day, I think everybody has that sense for somebody else when it comes to human nature and the vibe and energy that they give off.
It's not about a judgment as such. It's just, and I mean, if I got that sensation through a picture on the screen, can you imagine the sensation? So my gut intuition was not wrong. When they went to fill in this psychological evaluation, apparently he was, so this is what the coordinator said to me. She said, the surrogate is off the cards. So I was like, okay, why? So she's like, no, 2 things. Firstly, the fiance, husband, boyfriend, whatever he is, had thought it was funny. So he filled in a questionnaire under a female name as well and left it there. So Mandy, the psychologist, had actually analyzed it. And then she was like, who's this patient?
Yes.
But whoever it is, like, this person is a full-on narcissistic psycho. Like,
oh my word.
So he phoned and he was like, hey, I just, like, I thought it was funny. He said to the coordinator, he was like, I'd filled it in under this name. And she was like, oh yeah, no, they saw it, but they didn't analyze it because it wasn't a patient. Meantime, they had. So, and then it turned out he didn't get his police clearance because he had 18 outstanding things against him for drugs and domestic violence and all these things.
Oh my goodness.
And when she said to me, oh, you must be rich, my first thought was, they're gonna hold us ransom.
Yes.
We're gonna implant our baby into her stomach and she is gonna hold me ransom. It's gonna be a case of, if you don't pay me X or more or this or that, and I wouldn't think it would come from her so much, but more from him. Yes. And how would I know that if he didn't get angry at her, he wouldn't be beating the crap out of her, and I land up with a child that has problems?
Yes, I totally understand.
I dodged a bullet there completely. So then a friend of mine who was at university with me, she contacted me and she said, I know this is probably completely left field, but I don't know if you guys are still considering surrogacy, but there's a lady, one of the moms at my school, and she would love to do surrogacy. So I was like, okay. So she said, yes, she's got twin girls of 4 and she's got an older daughter of 9. She's 40 years old. She's had all her babies and she's very well off. So she's not doing this because she needs money. She's doing this because, out of the goodness of her heart, she wants to give back. So anyway, I spoke to Johan about it and I went and I met her. And amazing woman, really, just ticks all the boxes. And we really got on like a house on fire immediately. So I was very taken with her. And we then obviously now had to meet her husband. And we went and we had lunch, and was a nice guy, but I could see he wasn't completely, he had a lot of questions, which, obviously you need to, but he didn't seem like he was completely on board. And then they have to go through, like I said earlier, through all the
questionnaires and
the psychological examinations.
Yeah,
through all of that. And he was very much not really, he couldn't be at this appointment, or it was interfering, or this, that sort of thing. And in hindsight, I realized that he really wasn't on board.
Oh.
And you need that. You can't go into something like this if your partner's not on board. And when I said to her, I said, how does he feel about it? And she said, oh, you know what, he'll come around. And that should have been a red flag for me, but it wasn't. And so then what happened was I had met her in October of 2016. So then it was December and all of that, and we had done all the appointments and all the assessments. And we said, okay, you know what, we'll start with all of this after December, because obviously it's just a mission to do it over the holidays. Yes. So then we went for the first, we applied for the High Court order, we got all that to go ahead. So then we went for the first assessment with the doctor and everything, and he said, okay, we're ready to implant. It was the 20th of April. And up until then, we were chatting all the time. And she would send me a WhatsApp every day and we would chat. And we really had a fantastic sort of relationship, And I said to her, okay, so we did the implantation. I went I sat there. I really did everything because I didn't for 1 second want her to ever feel like I was just oh, well, you're in this, you're carrying it for me, I'm paying you and you're doing what I'm saying. And so she had the implantation. and I went off to go and ride a 9-day mountain bike. So this was really the furthest thing from my mind, although I did check in with her daily.
How's she feeling? Yeah.
Yeah, but then it was quite strange. I would send a message and she wouldn't be messaging me back so much anymore. So it's like, okay, you know what, it's fine. Like, we're all busy and whatever. So on the 2nd of May, so funnily enough, my dad's birthday was the day we had to go and do the pregnancy test at the clinic. So we get there and she's like, I can't stay for the results. I need to go to my kids' school. So I'm like, okay, like, I get it. You know, fine, whatever. So she goes and pees on the stick and whatever. And I'm sitting, next thing the doctor comes down. So now I'm already readying myself for a negative test, right?
Okay.
And he walks in and he gives me this little thing. And I mean, those lines are so bright.
Solid.
And he says to me, listen, I just want to tell you, this is like proper. And the HCG is beautiful. He's like, and it's quite high. So I have a suspicion it might be twins. Now, we had only implanted one with her.
Oh, okay.
And what I forgot to tell you, so what we had done, which cost us an extra amount of, ludicrous amount of money, is we actually took the embryos that we had and we had them genetically tested. So they tested for everything. And initially we had sent 6. So they just take a piece of it. They don't take the whole embryo. So we tested 6 and 4 of them were viable. And we knew the sex of all of them as well. So we had 3 boys and a girl.
Okay.
And 3 of them were viable, 2 boys and a girl. And then we implanted a little boy. Okay, so that's what we had just chosen and decided, and both of us love boys. So when he said this, I mean, I phoned Johan and I said to him, oh my God, like, I think we might have twin boys. I mean,
wow.
And Johan was like, you know what, it's early days.
Yes, let's not get excited.
Yeah, you know, I think at that stage we were so, I don't want to say defeated, because it's not that, but I think we were so like, oh yeah, you know, let's just first see where this is going to take us, because we are not actually going to believe there's a baby until it's in our arms.
Yes.
And so we were supposed to go for our first scan on the 15th of May. Oh no, 15th, on the 17th of May, sorry. So the 14th of May was Mother's Day. We have our birthday on the 12th of May. Johan and I share a birthday, and our surrogate's birthday was on the 15th, which is, funnily enough, our wedding anniversary.
Okay.
So initially we said we would tell the parents at Mother's Day, and we both then decided against it. And we said, you know what, let's just wait until we have that first scan, because we don't really want to get anyone excited for nothing again.
Yeah.
And in the interim, she has gone pretty much radio silence. So when I send her a message, you know, she's like she's very sort of quiet. She takes so long. When I went to drop off her medication and I said to her, the doctor thinks it's twins, she was like, well, it could be an ectopic pregnancy as well. And I thought, why would you be saying this? Like, why, if you wanted to do this, would you be saying these things? Why are you not excited with me?
Yes. I mean, you were the one that said this is what you want to do. So why not be positive?
You approached me, not the other way around. So anyway, so on the 15th, it was her birthday. I sent her a message and I was like, happy birthday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Oh, we were supposed to go the next day, the 16th. So I said, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30. Perfect. At 5:30 that morning, I get a message from her saying, hi there. I obviously ate something bad last night. I've had food poisoning the whole day, vomiting my lungs out, the whole toot. I can't make the scan today. So I say to her, Okay, that's 100% fine. Keep yourself hydrated. Let's meet tomorrow morning. Oh, no. Wednesday doesn't work for me. It will have to be Friday.
Okay.
So now here's me, the stupid one. What I should have done is I should have said to her, you will meet me there tomorrow on Wednesday. We have a contract. You don't have a choice in this matter. That is what I should have said. But what did I do? I said, okay, no, that's fine, because I don't want to inconvenience you. Wednesday
I don't think
comes.
you're stupid, Adele. I just think you just believe in people being good.
Yeah, no, I'm stupid. It was just stupid. So Thursday afternoon, midday, I'm sitting having coffee. I've got a very good memory, you've probably noticed.
Yes, obviously. I would never remember any of this. I'll be like, where the hell am I? What am I doing?
Yeah, so I'm sitting having coffee with a friend of mine. My phone rings and it's my surrogate, and she's in tears. So I'm like, what's wrong? Are you okay? So she's like, I'm so sorry, I've miscarried. So I'm like, what? So she's like, I went to my doctor and it started bleeding this morning, and I went to the doctor and he said it's gone. So I'm like, okay, sure, like, are you okay? I'm so sorry. And I put the phone down, okay, after now speaking to her, and I say to my friend, that was my surrogate. She just miscarried. And I carry on. And my friend looks at me and she goes, that was your baby. You miscarried now. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, and then it only dawned on me. So I phoned the doctor's rooms, and oh my word, what a shit show. So I phoned the nurse. No, you have no idea. And please note, I am not carrying this cargo, okay? Not me. So I phoned, so I said to the nurse, my surrogate just phoned me. She said she's gone to her doctor and she's miscarried. And the nurse goes off on me. That's not how it works. She's not allowed to go anywhere else. She's supposed to come here. So I'm like, whoa. Why are you crapping all over me?
Yeah, this is not you.
She's like, why didn't she phone us? I'm like, I don't know.
What the hell?
But when I spoke to her on the phone, and this is what's so ridiculous, when I spoke to her on the phone, she says to me, I can't talk any further. I'm on my way to go fetch my girls at school. Okay. The nurse then, in the interim, I said to the nurse, well, you know what? How about you guys phone her? Because
yes, obviously.
I can't. I mean, I don't know. So the doctor phones me before he's phoned her, and he says, Adele, she really has to come in, because if it is twins like I suspected, the other one might still be there.
Oh.
So we need to actually just see this. So anyway, so I said to her, okay, no, that's fine. So I said, but doc, can you phone her? Because like
you just feel you're like hopeless, and this is not really your place, is it? Well, yeah, that's how you
I'm sitting at this point going, you know what, like, you've already crapped all over me and I didn't even do anything wrong. So then the doctor phones, and he phones me back and he says, oh no, she says she's in so much pain she can't drive. So I'm like, what? So I said, but she was just at the school and she didn't tell me anything about pain.
Yes, she had to go pick up her girls.
So now I'm like, so I send her a message. So I say, listen, I'll send an Uber. No, she can't. She's just going to take, so this is the other one. She's just going to take the medicine that the doctor has given her, okay? And she's going to sleep. So I'm like, now my brain's starting to work overtime. So Friday morning, I have now spoken to the doctor. He's like, she has to come in for a scan today. I speak to the surrogacy woman, the coordinator, who then proceeds to say to me, this is why I organized the surrogates, because then we've got control. Now you've brought your own one in. And I'm like, you know what? Can everyone stop telling me this, that, give me a solution.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm sitting going, maybe there is still one. And I'm so irritated that I want to go there and grab this woman by her hair and put her in the car and take her. Like, so the surrogacy lady, the coordinator, phones her, and she phones me back and she says, no, she says she can't come into the doctor. Mm-hmm. Just after that, I get a WhatsApp from her saying, hi, Adele, maybe we can have coffee at 10 o'clock. Now, at that stage, I was still doing physio. So I said to her, listen, I've got patients until 11:15. But how about you go to the clinic at 10, okay? And I will then meet you there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she can't do that. So you can come and meet me for coffee, but you can't go to the clinic.
This is all so dodgy.
So now everything's like, these red flags are going up in my head at like the speed of light. So, and then she says to me, so I say, okay, well, let's go to the clinic tomorrow morning. Oh, no, she's flying to East London this afternoon. You are in agony. You cannot drive, but you are getting on an airplane to fly somewhere. Yeah, that look that you had, I had that same one. I get in the car the afternoon. We go to the farm. I say to Jan, mark my words. What I'm saying to you now, she's going to pull out. Because in the High Court agreement, it says the surrogate has to give us 3 chances. So, and if she doesn't, if she pulls out, she has to pay us all the money that we had put in. Anyway, Sunday night, my phone rings, and I wish I had recorded this phone call. So she phones, so she says to me, she's had such a bad weekend and she's had time to think about all of this. And she thinks her husband's cheating on her, and she can't carry on with this. She can't do it. So I say to her, okay, I understand. It's fine. Monday morning, I phone my attorney, and Robin says to me, Adele, she's got no choice. She has to go to the doctor. She says, and the only reason I suspect she doesn't want to go to the doctor is because she terminated this pregnancy.
Oh, no.
Now, Jess, if I send you an email accusing you of that, would you not get in your car and go to the doctor immediately?
Absolutely. I'll want to prove to you that this is not what I did.
I mean, she literally played cat and mouse with me for a month. Then finally went to the doctor. She told the doctor that she had no medical intervention, even though I've got the WhatsApps where she said she's
going to take medication. Yeah.
Oh, she had gone to a gynae and had a scan, and there was nothing. I mean, a month later, you can see nothing. I don't even know if they can see. They probably can see if you've had a DNC. But anyway, I have no proof. I suspect, and this is my suspicions as well as my attorney's suspicions, that her husband wasn't on board. And when the pregnancy was positive, it was a case of, well, you have a choice to make.
Yeah, it's either me or the woman, the other woman.
Because of the laws are, she had the right, the law was on her side for the first 12 weeks and she could do whatever. And so for me, I wanted every cent back from her because I just felt like this is not a game. This is my life that you're playing with.
This is your baby's life. I mean,
this is the thing. I mean, you have taken the one chance of us being parents away from us because, again, this is where I should have listened to that like red flag of when I thought her husband wasn't on board.
Yes.
But, you know, when you're in it, you're so tunnel visioned.
I know.
And
I mean, I'm the same type of person as well. It's like, you're just so excited. You just bump everything off that's negative.
Well, this is the thing. And you just sort of, you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, you know, and yeah, he'll come around. Well, no, actually, they won't. It's like thinking that when you're in a relationship, when someone says they don't want children and you fall pregnant, that they're going to come around. They're not.
Oh,
It's very rarely that actually happens. So anyway, the attorney said to me, look, we can continue with this. We can continue. We can sue her. I think it was 68,000 Rand. But is it really worth all the effort, the energy, the lawyer's fees that I'm going to have to pay?
The time.
Is it going to make any difference in my life? Really? It's not going to change what has happened. And it took me a good, I would say, about 3.5 months to really just get over it. Not get over it, but to put it behind me. And then my cousin in 2013 had said to me, I took my Mirena out, I'm going to become your surrogate. That's before we even knew how any of this worked. And then she fell pregnant. And I always joke that her husband just has to walk over her laundry and she's pregnant. So she was so, yeah, so shame. She was so devastated when she found out she was pregnant, not because she was pregnant, but because she had promised that she would be my surrogate. And I never crossed that bridge again because, I mean, she's just had 3 kids now, and I didn't know if she would want to. And all of this happened on her birthday when I found out about the miscarriage and everything. And I remember I put a post up on Facebook saying, you know, like a little thing about how you get excited and then it just gets pulled out underneath you. And that thing that I said to you, you know, we all make plans and God laughs because he has his plan for you. And she then phoned me and she said to me, I wanted to find out from you, you know, you said you were going to do surrogacy. And so I said, no, well, the surrogate pulled out. And I didn't go into too much conversation. And she said, you know, my offer still stands. And I was like, really? And we had a very long discussion, and we had a discussion with the family because also now it's different. I mean, she's got 3 boys.
This is family. We're talking about family here.
It's very close to home.
Yeah,
you know?
It can get intense.
This could either bond you or break your family apart.
Exactly.
And everyone was on board, and we then applied to the High Court again. This time our application took a bit longer. The previous time we got it within 4 days, we got the order. This time it took us a month. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's fine, because maybe the last time everything was too quick and too easy. So we went, we saw the doctor, everything was great, and we implanted the first one, and she was convinced that she was pregnant. She was feeling horrible, the whole toot. And when we went for the test, it was negative. And now you must know, this is someone who has never, ever had a negative pregnancy test in her life. Dealing with so much to process. Dealing with her devastation was harder for me than anything else.
Oh no.
Because this was the norm for me.
Yeah.
It's normal. And she was like, well, did I do something wrong? You know, and she felt like she had let us down. I was like, listen, and I remember I took her for the biggest chocolate milkshake that there possibly was. And I said to her, you did nothing wrong. It's so not in your control. And then, so we had implanted the little boy again. And then when we went the last time with these 3 eggs that we had, or embryos, we had the one left, the little girl. And she said to me, well, maybe it's a sign that you're supposed to be a girl mom and not a boy
Not
mom.
a boy mom. Oh, that bless her heart.
We implanted, and I said to her, don't get your hopes up.
Okay.
Like just
you're
don't.
used to this. Yeah.
And I said to her, I said, prepare yourself for the worst. And if it's not, then fantastic. And we did everything. And I mean, she was such a trooper. Flip, she was amazing. And all that medication and, all that stuff. And she was just really so phenomenal about it. I mean, I can't actually think, having been through IVF and all of that, I can honestly sit here and say, even if I could, I would never go through that for anyone. No one. Because it is horrendous. It is really horrible. And we went and it was negative again.
That's so weird.
So that was but now it just shows you, how things are different.
Well, knowing where you are now, obviously, and we'll get to that soon enough.
Yes.
But knowing where you are now, all of that makes so much sense.
Exactly. So that was the November, and we took December off, and we were supposed to go back in the January. And I said to her, I'm not ready. I said, can we push this out by a month? Because I'm really not ready. And in the interim, we had 5 embryos left. So we sent those embryos, we sent all of them off for testing. And only one came back as viable.
Oh no.
So the rest, so now we have got 1 shot left. 1 little boy. That's all we've got left. And I, in the interim, had decided to enter Mrs. South Africa.
Oh, yes.
And the result of this implantation was going to be my decision on whether I do the competition or I don't, where I draw the line in the sand. Because I had said to Johan, if this one doesn't work, it would also have been her third one. I said, if this one doesn't work, then we are done. Then we have done everything. And it was the 26th of February. We were supposed to go for the implantation that morning. And the casting was that Friday, the 1st of March.
Okay, yeah.
And they phoned me at 6:30. And she said, don't bother coming out. This one hasn't made it through the gates. So the embryo had not survived the thawing process. And I phoned my cousin. I said, don't bother coming through. It's done. We are finished. And she said, but I still have one left and you can use my eggs. And I said, we are done.
I'm done, yeah.
We are done. And
I'm getting goosebumps. This is...
I closed that chapter. I paged it over. At the same time, I had given up being a physio because I had to have surgery on my hand. So a lot of things all just happened at once. And it was as if I had taken this book of the last 7 years and I've written the end and I've closed it and I've put it on the shelf. And that's where I was. And I wasn't interested. And we sat down and we said, you know what? We have done it all. And there were still other options. But for that moment in time, I wasn't willing to consider anything. I wanted just time to find me, to figure out who's Adele, what have I got to offer the world, and to heal from all of this. Because I felt so unworthy. I felt like I had really, really failed. I had failed as a woman, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister. I really had failed everyone. I sat watching my parents and my in-laws really battling with this, really wanting to be grandparents, going through this, and saying inappropriate things where, if I look back now, it wasn't really inappropriate, but at the time it was, because they didn't have the words. They, and it's foreign for them. I mean, no one, like, you don't know, how do you navigate this whole situation? And I think I told most people in our year my story, and I think it opened the eyes to so many of the women, because we, funnily enough, we didn't have anyone in our year that was battling fertility.
No, there wasn't.
Quite interesting. The year following and following years, because I'm still involved there are in fact a hell of a lot of people who are battling. And I feel that, this was God's bigger plan for me, because I have been able to touch so many people and give advice and help them get through and navigate this extremely lonely, extremely horrible, and it is a horrible journey. It is only amazing once you're in it and you're pregnant and the baby's in your arms. Until then, it's not. Leading up to that, it is horrific. It is like invasive. You feel violated. You are hormonal all the time. You're really not a nice person, and you become this human. And I said that to you before. I felt like I was standing outside of my body, looking into this life that I didn't sign up for.
Yeah.
So we then called this, I would say we called it quits. And I did Mrs. South Africa, and I really had an amazing year. It was so like soul, like I filled my cup, as they say. It was food for the soul, in the sense of finally it was all about me. It was very difficult for and it was so difficult for everyone around me to get that, because I am not a beauty pageant person. I'm not really a dressing up person. And suddenly I was really like making it all about me, where I've always been the carer, and it was always about everyone, my patients, my family. I never put myself, I'd never just be like, well, no, I'm not doing this because I want me time. So I was always the yes, yes, yes. And then suddenly I was like, you know what? I'm going to only say yes for me now. So as we had said earlier, I had won the Mrs. Charity title, and which meant I would then be involved quite closely with the finalists in 2019. So the 2019 year came, and we had the announcement for the top 100, and I met some of the ladies, and we then had the high tea, the fundraising event, where as Mrs. Charity, I had to speak. So I had started, during my year as a finalist, I had started a campaign called #IamEnough.
Yes.
And
I remember that. I think I have a post on my Instagram of one of the shirts. Yes. I'm like, yeah, rocking it.
So the idea behind the campaign initially was to drive awareness around infertility. But then I started looking into it a little bit more, and I was like, you know what? The problems and the challenges that you are facing is not any less or more important than the problems that I am facing. So I might listen to you and go, what is she stressing about? It's so trivial.
Yeah.
But in your life, it is so
the worst thing.
Yes. And what I wanted, so up until that point, I felt like I was defined by the fact I was Adele, the physio who couldn't have children. That's who I was.
Sure, that's a very harsh title to give yourself, eh?
And I felt like the fact that I couldn't be a mom was what defined me. And I very quickly started reevaluating, going, no, there's a hell of a lot more to me. I am first and foremost, I am Adele. Then I am Johan's wife. I am my mom's child. I am your friend. I am, at that stage, I didn't really know what I did as a profession. I was sort of like
everywhere
in between.
You did a lot.
Yes. And I was Mrs. Charity. I was this person with this campaign, and I was not defined by my challenges. And that's how I progressed it. So at this event, I stood up and I was talking, and I spoke a little bit about this. And one of the finalists in the audience heard it, and she was very much in the same boat as me.
Okay.
And funny how things work out, because we landed being exactly at a friend's wedding, at the same friend's wedding.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and the bride said to me, listen, I put this girl at your table because she's from Mrs. South Africa. She's a semi-finalist. And I still remember looking at her going,
nice.
There's 100 of them, right?
Which
one?
Yeah.
And when I saw her, I immediately knew, because I had recognized her the first day when they came. And I knew exactly, I didn't know her name per se, but I knew the face immediately. And after the church service, we were sitting outside waiting for them, you know how it goes. And she sat next to me and she said, I listened to your story. And she just opened up about their whole story. And I sat listening to this, and she told me how she was a director of the board of this baby home. And there were these little kids, Desi, Michael, and Day. And they had been at the baby home until 2.5, and then moved to the place of safety in Polokwane. And, these kids need a home so badly. And we were just chatting, and they chatting about her journey. And when we went home, I told Johan about this, and I said to him, there's these kids, and it's like quite hectic. And Johan said to me, well, maybe we must look at adoption again. Maybe we should look at adoption. And I said to him, these are kids of color. Because now, just to give you a bit of an idea, I come from a Afrikaans family. My mom's English, but my dad's Afrikaans. Johan them are Afrikaans family. So, it's a very different
culture.
Era as such. Yeah.
Okay.
You come out of they were raised differently, and there's nothing wrong with it. But you sort of, people have the mindset of, well, your child has to look like you. Where for me, that has never been an issue.
Yes, same here. Also coming out of an English home, that's never been an issue for me, but also married to an Afrikaans guy.
Yeah.
Different.
So for me, if I'm completely honest, and you're going to now look at me and go, are you absolutely crazy saying this? If I am completely honest, I had never, ever, since little girl, I have never wanted to be pregnant. I've always wanted to be a mom, but I've never wanted to be pregnant. Kan jy daai water hoor?
Nee.
Okay, nee, ek wil net check, want
ek kan nie skorrel goed.
Okay. So it sounds bizarre, because you're probably thinking in your mind, then why in God's name did you go through all
7
of that?
years of hell?
Exactly. And the reason is because, like I said to you in the beginning, nobody tells me no.
Yes.
I decide when to draw the line in the sand. And I had always, even as little, I would say to my Oma, I don't want to have a baby in my tummy. Can they not make it? Can you not make it in a jar?
Stitch it up. Braille.
Yeah. And, you know, and as I got older, I was always like, you know what, I'd rather adopt a child. I mean, someone else can go through all of this hassle and I'll just adopt it. And I think maybe that's why surrogacy wasn't as big a thing for me, because it really didn't press on my heart that much to actually physically carry this baby. And saying it out loud, I mean, I can say it now because things are very different.